Alright, I'm gonna make a video on um let's discuss um let's discuss pre-med medical English. I'm like, why would I discuss that when I have zero credentials? The reason I don't have any credentials on it. I will discuss pre-med English. So first of all, I'm not discussing the admissions itself, but more like the process. We obviously understand that that you know there's quite a bit of reasons to be a to try to apply for medical school, to take the courses to meet the requirements, which would be biology, chemistry, organic chemistry, and some people take calculus or physics, and they obviously require a equivalent major. So whatever the major may be, would it be biology, chemistry, or physics, or even English, um, or even social science. Regardless, it, the idea is that you meet these prerequisites, you pass the required tests, um, standardized tests for admission, you pass um, the interview or the application essay. Basically, you have all those components. Now, I'm not going to be discussing any particular advice because that's something that you would probably should pay money for if um, if you don't like reading books about it or reading stuff on the internet, right? So, or you know, maybe you just know somebody and they just have to tell you great advice on it. That's not my problem. That's for the person applying to medical school to figure that out. So, what I'm discussing is well, why would I discuss this topic? Well, first of all, it's caught my attention that the it is a little difficult to apply to medical school now. The acceptance rate is hovering around 5 to 10%, sometimes even lower, sometimes even less than 5%. Why would that be the case? Is it because of grade inflation? Not necessarily. It's just that um, it's a great opportunity for those who have between a 2.5 and say a 3.5 GPA to just try to get into medical school. So it's pretty rare for someone between a 2.5 GPA to a 2.9 GPA to apply to medical school. Usually most of them don't bother with it. But there are a few that, regardless, they try anyway. So and sometimes cumulative. So um, you're not probably not going to get admitted unless they have a perfect score on the MCAT, which is pretty unlikely to get a perfect score. So they might still apply even if they have a score that is 1 point lower than a perfect score. So anyway, applying to medical school, um, you have to write an essay that, again, you have to understand who's reading it. You have to understand their background. You have to understand that it is not the same as writing a creative writing essay for language for English teaching. It is not the same as writing uh, um, an essay for a blog. It's not the same as writing an essay uh, like editorial. So that's two completely different. Um, not only is it different, you have to consider the time invested in studying for these tests, and also the time invested in giving up other opportunities, socializing, dating, hobbies, activities. Um, maybe you gave up your dream to become an author. Maybe you gave up social opportunities just to get a 3.0 in your pre-med requirements. and to get average score on the MCAT. Yeah, you had to get so with that. Let's say you gave up all those opportunities, right? And even risk having somebody elected president that is similar to you. So let's say you took all those risks just to have a 10% chance of getting admitted. Let's say you did that, and that you have a 10% chance of getting admitted to the medical school. Well, in this case, let's say that your application is close to being accepted. You learn from for most part, an unreliable source that you are very close to getting admitted. However, you don't know what you need to. You don't know what the fault is. Is it that you need to pass the interview, or is it that you need to retake the MCAT a second time, or is it that um, or is it you need a perfect score on the final exam of your the last semester or quarter of your classes. So you don't know which of those three things to focus on, but you can only focus on one of those three things to get it in. It's like in this case you have a 33% gamble. However, it's actually less than that because then you have to worry about other things. An unexpected criminal, if you're into an unexpected criminal that could jeopardize. So that's other things to worry about and other things that are based on luck. So in that case, you don't necessarily have a 39% chance of getting it. It's probably closer to 20%, right? So it's a huge gamble. Is it preferable to give up the whole process? And if you have this huge debt that you accumulated from student loan, or is it worth to just cash it all in just to see if you get admitted? Let's say you decide to gamble, and in this case, you actually get admitted. In that case, you're just very lucky that you focused on the right thing. Would it be the interview, or the retake of the exam, or the perfect getting perfect grades on your final exam scores, in final course grades? Whatever you chose, it was the correct decision. Now you admitted, and let's say you cruised to medical school and you got to residency and all that other great stuff. Now the thing is, this is where this is where there's a few problems with this, right? Because there's plenty of people who, they just you know they were in a similar situation, but they chose the wrong thing to focus on. They didn't get admitted, right? In that case, I have seen some of these folks on the internet, not in person, sadly, but in the internet, I have seen what happens to some of these folks. And to be honest, I actually think it's a blessing in disguise if they ended up not getting admitted. And why would it be a blessing in disguise? Well, think of it this way. Like it would probably been better in many ways. There's plenty of doctors who lost their licenses, got sued, or even got arrested for malpractice. So that's kind of a tragic turn of events. But then you also have to consider that if you get sued, even if you paid off all those loans for medical school, now you have to pay off the debt from being sued. So it's like, and that's if you're even lucky not to get a prison sentence. So in that case, there's that. But then again, I'm only discussing circumstances in this country. I'm not aware of medical schools outside the U.S. because I lived in the U.S. for basically my whole life. So I cannot really say anything about medical schools outside the country. But that is a topic for another